Hello, you've caught me doing the intro to another Friday feature. Aren't you excited?
Rob, take your hands away from your mouth. We can't hear a word you're saying.
I look like the default Twitter avatar.
Change is difficult, isn't it? One of those inevitable, often disappointing things that happen as time moves inexorably forward. Sometimes change is a good thing. Sometimes change feels dreadful but is still for the best. And sometimes you just get a bit too carried away with your new razor and instantly regret it.
Here are 6 video game characters who changed almost unrecognisably, and we just couldn't deal with it.
First out the traps this week is fan unfavourite Raiden from the Metal Gear series, and his subsequent transformation from cartwheeling did you say nerd stand-in snake in Metal Gear Solid 2 to vamp-slaying actually cool now cyborg samurai in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Every time Raiden showed up in Metal Gear Solid, I was surprised.
I was all like, who's stolen my Parker pen and replaced it with a pound shop biro surprised when he showed up in Metal Gear Solid 2. But then I was like, oh my god, have you seen how hot Neville Longbottom is now surprised when he returned in Guns of the Patriots and started fighting robot cows with his feet.
Wait a second here, wait. Is it me, or does it feel like something's missing here? You were backing up my computer and you did what? You deleted all the footage of Dave marking the Metal Gear tally. Well, some things can't change, so I hate you and
updated Metal Gear tally. Anyway, Raiden's biggest change isn't his physical one, but his popularity. He didn't really stand a chance when he replaced Solid Snake as the protagonist in Sons of Liberty, but everyone changed their minds about him when A, they didn't have to control him naked, and B, he fought a ship with his hands. He then goes one further in action spin-off Rising Revengeance and becomes a fully fledged badass, capable of cutting pretty much anything in half, be that melons or metal. That's some transformation, Raiden. Well done you. Who remembers E3 2016? I know it was nearly 4 months ago, which is like half a lifetime in video game years, but when this bit happened, right at the beginning of the PlayStation conference...
I am hungry.
I know, oh my god, right? Is that even the same guy?
Yes, it is the same Kratos, although with big changes. First of all, he's done the reverse of me and grown a lustrous mane of facial fur, which makes him look older, wiser, and ever so slightly less angry. But the biggest shake-up is with how he moves and fights. No longer are we zoomed out, watching the ghost of Sparta glide through Greek mythology, ripping the heads off all the local deities. Now we're intimately over the shoulder, moving with care and thought across a beautiful Norse landscape, accompanied by Kratos' son, whom he's training up to be an expert hunter.
This is a huge departure from the Kratos we're all used to. Before, he was a chaotically angry, kill first, ask questions never anti-hero.
Now he's a chaotically angry, kill first, ask questions never dad. A relationship that reveals Kratos does know more words than just Ares and ah! Also, we're seeing him as a human for the first time, whereas before he was just anthropomorphized revenge on a stick, basically. It's a huge reinvention for everyone's favourite everything slayer, and we can't wait to take control of him once more.
Talking of reinventions, our third entry is the absolute daddy when it comes to chucking out the old and giving the new a completely different haircut and backstory.
DMC Devil May Cry's version of Dante caused quite a stir when he first appeared in the announcement trailer for Capcom's action reboot. He'd gone from trash-talking, silver-haired, demon-slaying dreamboat to cocky, not silver-haired, demon-slaying hipster. Gameplay-wise, it was pretty similar, to be honest. It was still bullying demons with a combination of sword and twin pistols, and it was still amazing. But the change in hair colour was just too much for some.
I remember it vividly. I was sat here, actually, my favourite armchair, and came on that YouTube, you know, and I watched it. I could not believe it. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. I've played every previous Devil May Cry. completed them all on Dante Must Die mode. And I thought to myself, no, this Dante must die. Because he's not the same. He's not my Dante. So I disliked the trailer and... sorry.
Sometimes characters grow up with their audience, such is the case with our fourth entry, Jack from the Jak and Daxter series. In the Precursor legacy, he's a colourful, scrawny, mute protagonist, perfect for platforming and satisfying a new generation of gamers making the move from Crash Bandicoot and looking for something mostly the same, but a bit prettier. The transition that followed was much like when the new Harry Potter movies used to come out and all the magazines would say things like, "Oh, it's much darker this year," basically meaning the characters are now older and therefore a bit sadder.
When Jack returned in Jak 2 Renegade, he was essentially transitioning into an adult.
He had a beard you could toggle on and off. He'd grown his hair out a bit like we all did for a couple of years at college, and he was very angry. So angry he was capable of transforming into Dark Jack, an angst-fueled alter ego capable of ripping enemies to shreds in a burst of negative emotion. The change was apparent in Jak 2's gameplay too, the vibrant jumping about of the original replaced with a moody open world as the game morphed to reflect the developing taste buds of players who now wanted video game caviar instead of just video game hamburgers. I like hamburgers.
Jack had a voice now too, and it was one of those raspy protagonist ones that meant, "Hey, I'm all serious now. I'm over collecting orbs and stuff, and I've got weapons and everything."
I'm Professor Brian Cox, and today we're looking at the thermodynamic arrow of time, which basically says that time moves forward in the same direction that entropy or disorder increases. If you leave a room for a long time, it becomes untidy. If you drop a glass, it smashes into lots of tiny pieces. And as you grow older, the pigment cells in your hair die and it becomes grey. So I've absolutely no idea why Heihachi is young again in Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
I mean, it was traumatic enough when Tekken 3 came out and Heihachi had gone grey, confirming that video game characters didn't all exist in a space-time vacuum like The Simpsons where everyone stays the same age for all eternity. But we got over that, we accepted it despite the unnerving visual reminder that, hey, you've been playing video games for over a decade now, don't you feel old?
Then Tekken Tag Tournament 2 arrived, with Heihachi seemingly buying out an entire supermarket supply of Just for Men.
It wasn't just his hair that had reverted though, it was his entire face. Wrinkles gone, frown replaced with the smug smile of a man who successfully learnt how to bottle the essence of youth. I mean, it's just weird, he must be like 102 by now.
Does it make me look younger at least?
Yeah, you look like a balding 12-year-old.
Right, just for that, Dave, you can sod off back to the tally for our 6th and final entry. Yeah, that's right, I'm doing 2 Metal Gears, which has to be the most shocking character transformation in video game history. Solid Snake, the hero we all wanted to return and who we hadn't controlled since Metal Gear Solid 2's all-too-brief tanker mission, had become old. Narratively, this is explained away as accelerated aging, a side effect of being a scientifically engineered clone, but thematically reflects the creative fatigue of Hideo Kojima returning to a series he'd already tried to leave behind.
Old Snake was Kojima's way of saying, "I'm tired now. I'd like a nice long rest, please. I'm too old for this. Just please let me stop. I know you like what I make, but please let me stop making them."
Before he went on to make arguably one of the greatest stealth games in the history of mankind with Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. But back to Old Snake. I mean, he was old. If you crouched for too long, he'd get spasms in his back. He had a stress meter underneath his health bar that you had to keep an eye on, otherwise your aiming would go all over the place. Controlling him felt every inch like being in charge of a tired, grizzled old man, and crawling through that tunnel at the end. Ugh, harrowing.
To make the change even more shocking, you get to don a mask of young Snake in Chapter 3 that lets you pine for what could have been.
Because as well as being a reflection of Kojima's mindset, Old Snake was also there to remind you how long you'd been with the series, the passing of time theme striking up again in Chapter 4's Return to Shadow Moses, and in the climactic OAP punch-up between Snake and Liquid Ocelot at the end. So there we go, 6 characters who changed unrecognisably and we just couldn't handle it. Let us know in the comments if you can think of any others. Like this video if you think I should grow the beard back, please like the video. And subscribe if you haven't yet for more of these videos every Friday. Thanks for watching.